Hello, my name is James and this is the 92 podcast. I'm on a quest to speak to one fan from each of the 92 football teams that make up the Premier League, the Championship, League One and League Two. Each episode I'll shine the spotlight on a different club, talking to their fans, playing silly games and quizzes and learning what it's like to be a supporter of their team. In this episode we take a look at a team in the smallest town to have ever hosted a Premier League team. It's Burnley.
We've seen toenails offside, armpits offside. It's absolutely ridiculous. We literally hate each other. Like, I don't know any Blackburn fans. I can't even say the word without getting angry. To be honest, I think the likes of Alex Scott being on the telly and being one of the best pundits that we've got at the minute, and knowing what she's talking about and having done seen the game, and I think that's done a lot for female football fans.
Now, as usual, I don't really know too much about Burnley, other than Turf Moor is Jordan North's happy place, they play in the Premier League, and they're known as the Clarets, which is why I'm joined by Burnley fan Becca on this episode. Hello Becca, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me, James. I'm excited about this. Never done a podcast before, so here we are.
Here we are, yes. So, how long have you been a fan of Burnley?
I can't ever not remember being a fan. Literally since I was born, I think. And then I got a season ticket when I was about 5, and I've had one ever since. So yeah, it's like a massive part of my life, really, in the family's life.
I was going to say, were you brought up to be a Burnley fan?
Yeah, I think everyone around Burnley is. I think everyone is brought up to be a Burnley fan if you live in Burnley. Both my granddads supported Burnley. My mum, my dad, my uncle, my brother were all like diehard Burnley fans. So yeah. Been in the family since as long as I can remember, really.
Is there ever a time where you're like, why do I support Burnley and why don't I support another team?
All the time. Every weekend. I say to my mum, I was like, we could have lived in Manchester. We could have been Man City fans. But no, we're Burnley fans. And once you support Burnley, you can't get out of it. As much as I've tried, it's the pull of Turf Moor and just that community that pulls you back. And you just can't support anyone else. It won't be the same roller coaster. We have many ups and downs as Burnley fans. It won't quite be the same supporting one of these bigger clubs.
Absolutely not. So I mentioned in the introduction there that Burnley are the smallest town to have ever had a team play in the Premier League. Do you think that has an impact on the support the team gets, or is it a case of everybody supports Burnley?
Yeah, I think the small town thing makes the supporters more passionate about the club because. Well, I don't mean to disrespect Burnley, but there's not much going on here, apart from the football club. Like, to have a football club in the town that is in the Premier League, and we welcome, like, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Mourinho, like, those calibre of managers and players every week. It's almost like everyone lives for that day on the turf and at the weekend, and everyone goes mad for it on a Saturday. So I think we do get more support because of the small town we are, and the more passionate support as well.
So what is the atmosphere like at Turf Moor?
It varies. It depends whether it's cold, whether it's hot. If the best atmospheres are on it's typical cold, wet Tuesday night. Horrible. Like when we're playing Man City or Man United on a Tuesday night, you're praying for snow, hail, wind, horrendous conditions, and then everyone's well up for it. Like, you can tell the change in atmosphere, like the volume gets turned up when it's cold and when it's wet and miserable, because you think, hold on a minute, we've got a chance here, because they're not going to fancy this at this time. But on a normal week, it's not exactly the most enjoyable football to watch, I'm not going to lie. But we've had our moments. I remember feeling as a kid when we were playing Spurs in the Carling Cup semi-final, the ground shaking. I remember the stand actually shaking because it was that loud. So there have been moments where it's literally the roof's blown off. But on a normal match, it's pretty average, I'd say.
How does it compare to other stadiums that you might have been to?
Oh, see, I love Turf Moor. Because it's got that throwback to old times. It's never moved from where it is, and it's got the wooden seats. It's got the toilets are horrible and tiny, and it's just got that throwback feel. You go to some of these new stadiums and you think, where's your soul? Where's your character?
Yeah.
And I think Turf Moor's a total opposite of that, and I think that's what makes us all proud of it. And it's right in the town centre as well, so every time you go into town, you go past it. Whereas some of these other new ones, they're like out on the outskirts. Whereas that is
Yeah.
literally the centre of the town, and it has been for decades, centuries. So yeah, I love Turf Moor.
So who do you usually go to your matches with?
Well, I used to go with my mum and my brother, and my dad occasionally. But then my brother became too cool for school, ditched me and my mum. So it's just me and my mum. My uncle comes on now and again, and my dad comes on now and again. My brother joins us now. He thinks he's not that cool, and he's grown up a bit. Um, so yeah, it's a real family affair. And then when we go on because we've sat in the same seats now for 20 years I think, and the people in front, behind, and next to us have all sat there as well. So it's like a proper little football family now when you go on. So it's weird having not seen them for like an entire year nearly now.
I was going to ask you about that. How has COVID impacted you as a football fan? Do you miss going to the ground, or is that obvious?
Yeah, I think I think for me it's sort of I've lost interest in football,
Yeah,
because for me going to the football is not, obviously as a Burnley fan, it's not about going to watch the actual football that's being played. It's
yeah,
about the atmosphere and being around the people and going on the game, and the whole day that you make of it with your family and with the people who are around you. And I think that's just all been a bit lost. So I've just lost interest. Honestly, I can't wait for the day we can go back on. I think I might cry. And not go on like when there's 2,000. I mean, like,
you want to go in when it's full capacity.
yeah, I want to wait till it's properly back.
So, in terms of rivalries, the biggest one for a Burnley fan would be the East Lancashire derby against Blackburn. What is that rivalry like?
It's poisonous. We literally hate each other. Like, I don't know any Blackburn fans. I can't even say the word without like getting angry. And I don't know. I, it put it when we play each other at like dinner time, and we all if you're going from Burnley, if you're a Burnley fan going to the match, everyone has to get on a coach at Turf Moor at about 8:30 in the morning to drive
Yeah.
8 miles down the road. We all get on these coaches. The motorway gets closed. Every
Yeah.
motorway bridge, there's police on it. So we all pull up at like 9:30, and there's 2 hours to kill at Ewood Park, and you can't do anything but go in the stand and wait it out. So I've been 4 times now. I wasn't
Yeah.
allowed to go until I was 18. My mum wouldn't let me go till I was 18 because that's how bad it is.
Wow.
I've seen toilets be flooded in there. I've seen seats ripped out and thrown. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. But
It
I mean,
sounds like absolute torture
oh,
having
it
to sit
is,
in Ewood
it
Park.
is, and when you win, you have to like go back, and there's this pub. I don't even know what it's called, but there's a pub on the way back. We all pile back on the coaches, and if you've won, it's fantastic. And you go past this little pub, and all the Rovers fans are outside, giving it some, and
Yeah.
all the Burnley fans just run to the window. I swear the coaches nearly topple over with like the just sheer joy, and it's quite something. And I think that's why Sean Dyche will always be such a character at the club, because we'd not beaten them for 37 years
Yeah.
until he beat them not that long ago. Now I think it's like I think we're unbeaten against them under Sean Dyche. I might be wrong on that, but I think we are,
Yeah.
and I think that'll always make him an absolute legend.
We'll come on to Sean in a bit, but in terms of Burnley players past and present, who are some of your favourites that you've seen don a Burnley shirt?
Well, Ian Wright for one. Uh, I remember. I think I was about 8 or 9 when Ian Wright came to the club. And as a kid, Ian Wright, I used to watch. I mean, I remember I used to watch all the football. Me and my brother used to watch Inhale football.
Yeah.
Um, so Ian Wright putting on a Burnley shirt was like the biggest thing I've ever known as a Burnley fan. And as a kid, it was like Christmas Day when he walked out onto that pitch. So that Ian Wright would be up there. Wade Elliott as well, who scored the goal again at Wembley. He's always been one of my favourite ever Burnley players. Glenn Little, he was magic with his feet. Andy Payton, the Paddy and Predator. He was one of my favourites growing up. More recently, well, there's Brian Jensen for his penalty save at Chelsea. We went on the Carling Cup run. That was pretty magical. Danny Ings, you knew he was a player. When he came to Burnley, you thought, he's too good to be here. He's going to go places. And then he went to Liverpool, and I thought, right, this is it. And then obviously his career's been blighted by injuries, but I think he was one of them players that you knew he was someone. Kieran Trippier, another one. And then current squad, I think for me it'd have to be Ben Mee, just for the leadership that he has and just the braveness of him. Like some of the tackles and the shots he stopped with like all parts of his body, his head. He just puts his head in front of everything. And you just think, if you could bottle the passion and the bravery that he has and spread it across the squad, it would be unbelievable. But yeah, he's pretty good.
So I always ask this question as well, and it always gets a mixed response. Are there any players you've not particularly liked who've played for Burnley?
I wasn't a massive fan at the time. Well, I wasn't a massive fan of Scott Arfield until he turned up against Rovers, and then he became a god. And now he's doing stuff in Rangers. I'd have him back in a heartbeat. So I did a 360 on him.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I'm not Chris Wood's biggest fan, but he knows where the goal is, so I've got to give it to him. I had a player called Tony Grant, and he'd been at Rovers before he came to us, and I probably wouldn't have had him. David Jones was another one as well. He did a job for us, but he was always a bit slow and a bit useless, to be honest. But again, these players, they come in and they do a job for Burnley, and then they go and you think, actually, he weren't really that good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the time, I think whoever pulls on that shirt is going to be supported. It's only after, I think, you realise, actually, we're a bit crap.
Is there any players then that you would love to bring back? You mentioned Danny Ings.
Yeah. Well, we brought one back already. Jay Rodriguez. Oh, there's quite a few. Scott Arfield, I'd have him back. Kieran Trippier, I'd bring back in a heartbeat. I think he's sensational. And he's the one player that I think fully understood the Blackburn-Burnley rivalry. He used to wind them up somewhat rotten when we went to Ewood Park. Joey Barton, I'd have back in a heartbeat as well. Andre Gray, I know a lot of fans didn't really rate him, but his pace that he had, and he just offered us something different. And I genuinely think he could still do a job for us, to be honest. But yeah, I think Sam Vokes, another one. But I don't like saying we've taken back, because I always think we should be going forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we should be looking ahead, not taking them back. Yeah. If we Trippier won't be a step back, but if we take back Vokes, Gray, Arfield, I don't know. I think it's not the best. We need to be more positive, I think, and look forward.
Have you had any interesting experiences being a female football fan?
Well, it is quite unusual because there's me and my mum that go on, so it's like two females as well. We've never experienced any funny. Well, no one's ever said anything to us, but we do occasionally get the weird glances and. Like on Twitter, when you give your opinion after the game, a lot of people are like, "Oh, get back in the kitchen. You're a girl, blah blah blah." But to be honest, I think the likes of Alex Scott being on the telly and being one of the best pundits that we've got at the minute, and knowing what she's talking about, and having done seen the game, and I think that's done a lot for female football fans. And the rise of women's football, I think, has almost given women and female fans a bit more respect. And actually, we do know what we're talking about. And we're here to enjoy the same game as anyone else. I've never experienced anything from Burnley fans or any opposition fans, to be honest. In fact, when we go to away games, we often go in pubs that are neutral, mixed.
Yeah.
We've always had great conversations with fans from across the country, and we've always had really good experiences away. In fact, Arsenal was probably one of the best ones. But yeah, we've always had good experiences, to be fair. Been lucky, good. I think.
So we've discussed what it's like to be a fan, and we're going to discuss the current season soon. Now it's time to test your knowledge. You're going to have 5 questions about your beloved Burnley and 5 questions about football in the 92 in general. How do you think you're going to do on this?
Terrible.
Is it the Burnley questions you're dreading, or is it all of them?
I don't want to embarrass myself on the Burnley questions. The other ones might not be too bad. I don't know. Let's give it a go.
Yes. So question 1 then. Who did Sol Campbell most recently manage?
Macclesfield.
No, Southend.
Oh, God.
In July this year, Burnley held Liverpool to a 1-1 draw at Anfield, becoming the only team to do what to Liverpool in their title-winning season?
Take points at Anfield.
Yes. Question 3. Since the Premier League was founded in 1992, which team has won the most games?
I'm torn between two. I'd probably go United.
It was United.
Yeah.
Question 4. In April 2019, Ashley Barnes picked up a yellow card for a bizarre reason against Cardiff. Why was he booked?
Did he kiss the opposition player?
He did. He kissed Cardiff defender Joe Bennett for some reason.
He's an absolute wind-up merchant. He's Ashley Barnes.
Question 5. Which League One team play their games at Home Park?
At Plymouth.
It is. Question 6. Burnley are one of only 5 teams to have won the top 4 divisions of English football alongside Wolves, Preston, Sheffield United and which other former Premier League team? It's a difficult one, that one.
Oh, God. Former Premier League team. Here's me trying to think who went down last year.
Maybe don't think so much about who went down last year.
Is it Leeds?
No.
No.
It's Portsmouth.
Portsmouth? Oh, I'd never got that.
Question 7. Frank Lampard used to manage Derby before now managing Chelsea, but what other former Chelsea player is in the running for the vacant Derby job?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that one.
It's John Terry.
Oh, God, why would you want him as your manager?
Question 8. Who did Sean Dyche manage before Burnley?
Watford.
Yes. Question 9. Who was manager of Leicester when they won the Premier League in 2015?
Claudio Ranieri.
Yep. And your final question. Other than Burnley, which EFL team is closest geographically to Turf Moor?
Accrington Stanley.
It is.
Yeah.
So you didn't do too bad on those.
No, I did alright actually. The Portsmouth one threw me.
Yeah, that one was a difficult one. So let's move on to the current season then.
Oh,
Burnley are obviously in the bottom 3. Can you see them getting out of the drop zone?
Yeah, because with this manager in charge, I'd never bet against anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think. I mean, we did all right yesterday. Got a good point against Everton yesterday. We play Arsenal next, I think, and they're not exactly high on confidence at the moment. So I think we could get something there. I mean, we are due a win over Arsenal. I'm not saying we're going to win, but we could get something. And then I think we'll be out of relegation by 2021. I think we'll be out of the drop zone. I've got high hopes anyway. And then we might turn a corner.
It pays to be optimistic, doesn't it, in situations like this? Where do you think it's all gone wrong, though, so far?
Oh, I think it's a number of things. The injuries that we had at the start of the season didn't help. I mean, we just didn't have any options. And then because of the injuries and the options that we didn't have, that comes back to like the transfer strategy. We didn't buy anyone. Well, we did. We bought Dale Stevens, so we might as well have not bought anyone in summer. Like the lack of transfer activity is something that is a massive bugbear of the fans, I think. But there's rumours of an American takeover happening before Christmas, so that could be an early Christmas present. And then in January, you never know what investment this takeover might bring, or I mean, there's some of the young kids are coming through. I mean, we've got Dwight McNeil, who's obviously one of the first names on the team sheet now. And then there's a couple of kids that have made appearances. I mean, there's Josh Benson. He's an up-and-coming one. So if we start looking at the kids and getting them involved more, I think we'll be fine. I do think we'll be all right. I think there's 3 worse teams than us in the league. Not sure who they are yet, but I think we'll be all right. I do.
We'll find out by the end of the season who those 3 worst teams are. Going back onto Josh Benson, he played on loan at Grimsby last year. How important do you think it is to send your young players out on loan to get them that experience ready for playing in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think for a club like Burnley it's even more important because we don't have these funds to go and splash like 10, 12, 20 million on a player that might not work out. So if we do have a really good academy at Burnley and we've got some great young players. So the more that we can get out on loan and get them back, like and get them in the first team, like Josh Benson, like Jimmy Dunn, like Dwight McNeil, bed these youngsters in, give them that experience, and then they come back to Burnley ready to play, ready to pull on the shirt. And then you never know, if we've got 3 Dwight McNeils, 4 Dwight McNeils in the wings, we don't need to go spending 12, 20 million on these other players because we've already got them there. And I think for a club like Burnley, it's crucial that we do that.
Yeah, so obviously we mentioned Burnley are in the bottom 3, and I promise I won't keep mentioning that they're in the bottom 3. Will the focus be on the league this season? You're obviously out of the Carabao Cup, you lost to Man City, and you start your FA Cup journey in January against MK Dons. will the focus be on the league, or would it be nice to go on a cup run in the FA Cup as well?
I think the focus is always on the league.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where we are, but to stay in the Premier League, if you ask a Burnley fan every season what's your aim this season, it's always to stay in the Premier League. Anything after that is a bonus. We've never done well in the cups under Dash. I mean, we've been knocked out by, well, it's been quite frankly embarrassing. Who we've been knocked out by in recent years. But I mean, a cup run would always be nice. But this year, I think it's just it'll just, especially in the position that we're in the league, it's just going to be one step too far. I mean, I won't be surprised if we got beat by MK Dons, if I'm being honest. But we'll wait and see. Cup run's always nice, but the league is always number one.
So you mentioned there that if you ask a Burnley fan, they say their expectation this season is always just to stay in the league. Is there anything else that the club could be doing to try and make that aspiration a little bit higher up, like mid-table?
I mean, spending money is always the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we well, I mean, we've shown it can be done because, I mean, we were in Europe, which was just absolutely insane. Only 2 years ago, I think now. So that it can be done, and the manager and the players have shown it can be done. I think we just need to be consistent. I mean, we have been consistent. I say that like we haven't been, but I think even though we've been in the Premier League for, is it 8 years now? I think the expectation is to always stay in the Premier League because we don't have that money to invest in the squad, and you know, we are this small town, and everyone keeps saying we have this small town mentality, which really it does annoy me because we do have that, and it's hard to get out of it. You know, like if we got relegated, I think everyone would be like, oh well. Whereas actually we should be really angry. But I don't know, we punch above our weight, I think, every time. But I don't, anything extra. Top half of the table is a dream.
Yeah.
Mid table, I think is where we should be aiming for. But staying up is obviously the priority.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Sean as the manager then? Is he still the right man for the job?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a Burnley fan who don't think that. I mean, we all have his wobbles about him when, you know, he can be stubborn, and he does have strange ideas sometimes, and the fans might not always agree with the players, the 11 that he puts out on the pitch, but I mean, results speak for themselves, and you can't really argue against him for what he's done for this football club. I think it goes deeper than the on-pitch stuff as well, like the mantras that he's brought into the squad, and the ethic, and the you know, the togetherness that they've got. I think if you took that man out of that club, I dread to think what would happen. I think we'd sink like a stone. So I think he's absolutely crucial. I mean, he's a god, really, for what he's done to this football club. I think it'd be a massive shame if we lost him.
Do you think that part of the success of Burnley is that they've stuck with Sean Dyche for so long?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, we've never been a club that's like hired and fired. And I think Watford are probably looking at Burnley now and thinking we should have probably kept hold of that guy. I mean, I'm thankful that they didn't. But yeah, I mean, we got relegated in our first season with Sean in the Premier League, and then we bounced back the next season in possibly the best season that I've ever witnessed as a Burnley fan. I mean, we went 23 undefeated in the Championship. Now that's insane. We went from Boxing Day to the end of the season. We didn't drop point. We didn't lose, which is ridiculous. And then from there, we've just gone on and on and on. I mean, he got us to Europe, for crying out loud. Honestly, it's just, and I genuinely do think that we've just kept climbing that ladder because we've kept hold of Sean Dyche, and we've kept hold of the players as well. You know, the span of the team, it's not changed, and the leaders in the dressing room hasn't changed, and the players that he brings in have to have like certain qualities and have to add something to the team. And I think he's very meticulous about that, and I think that's why we have been so successful, because he lives everything in that football club Sean Dyche has touched, and he's had some influence on, and I just think that that's been vital to the consistency of where we are right now.
So he's been quite vocal in the media recently, especially after the draw with Everton. He said he was scratching his head at the inconsistencies of refereeing decisions, and he alluded once again to VAR not being up to scratch. What do you think of VAR? Is it killing the game?
Oh, I hate VAR. Absolutely hate it. You can't. I mean, I cannot stand Liverpool, right? Yeah. But you're not telling me last week that decision was an absolutely ridiculous for that penalty.
It was,
I
yeah.
mean, if that's a penalty, then it's gone. It has gone. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen toenails offside, armpits offside. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you just think, what has happened to this game?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I hate VAR. The sooner we're not. It's not going to go. We're not going to get rid of it now, are we? But
No.
there's, I think there's massive changes that need to be made. It's just ridiculous. You can't celebrate a goal properly because you're like, oh, I don't know if his toe were offside. I mean,
Yeah.
it's horrible, isn't it? I don't like it. I don't know. I think there has to be space. I think it's the feet that you have to look at, not the armpit or the shoulder.
The areas of the body that they can actually use to touch a football with,
Yeah,
usually.
which I thought they'd said that was the rule this season, but I
They
mean,
did, but for some reason they seem to have forgotten that completely.
yeah, it's gone out the window again. And the whole penalty thing, it's just, you just look at it and think, is that a foul outside the box? Are you going to look at that if it's outside the box? You're not. So if you're not, then it's not a penalty for me,
Yeah,
anyway.
That's one of the things that they don't seem to be doing, is they call for a VAR review and they're looking at something completely different to what the fans at home are thinking. You should be looking at that instead. Do you think that it's more of the people behind the technology rather than the actual technology itself that's the issue?
Yeah, I do, because we brought VAR in because our referees weren't doing a good enough job.
Yeah.
And now the referees are controlling the VAR and it's still useless.
Seems to be even worse than what it was before.
Yeah, so I definitely think the refereeing standards in this country aren't the best. And I don't think I'm alone in thinking that. But having said that, I think the technology is supposed to be there to help them, and I don't think it is.
Is there anything that you'd like to see introduced into football other than getting rid of VAR?
Fans? No, I don't know. No, because I think if you change football too much, you lose what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're not on the verge of doing, but I think that's where we go if we start changing too much. You know what I mean? I mean, if it's a draw, this is mad. But if it's a draw, I won't mind a penalty shootout at the end of every game. That'd be quite good.
Do you really think you could put yourself through the torture of that every game?
Well, no, but no, probably not. No, that'd be horrendous. But it'd be entertaining. It'd be a bit of a laugh. It'd be funny.
It'd be entertaining, yeah, but you'd have lots of people having heart problems every single week.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It wouldn't be COVID that was stopping people going to grounds. It would be heart attacks from penalty shootouts. So let's have a look then at your overall best 11 for Burnley. If you had to pick 11 players to put on the field, anyone that's ever played for Burnley, including the current players, what would your 11 be?
Oh, that's really hard.
Let's start with between the sticks. Who would you have in goal?
I don't know if it'd be Tom Eaton or Nick Pope. That is hard. I'd probably go Tom Eaton. Oh, sorry, Nick. Not that he'll be listening, but sorry. I feel bad for even saying that out loud.
Sorry, Nick, if you're listening. She prefers Tom Eaton.
Oh no, I don't. But I just, I think he was just more of a leader and more of a defence. Oh, it'd have to be Trippier.
That one's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
That one is a no-brainer. Ben Mee.
Yeah.
Steve Davis. Oh, I don't even like saying that, but it was sensational.
So you've got one more in your defence.
I'm trying to think. Oh, I did like. Well, I can't. He's a centre back. Can't put it. Oh, sod it. Putting him in. Caldwell, captain when we got promoted. Midfield, Wade Elliott, easy.
That one was a quick one.
Easy, all day. Joy Barton. Oh, Robbie Blake, get him in. And Glenn Little.
And now the tough one is, which two strikers would you go for?
Andy Payton. Oh, it's got to be Ian Wright, hasn't it? It's got to be Ian Wright. You can't have him. Yeah, he's pulled on a Burnley shirt. Oh, but Gazza has as well. No, I'm sticking back. Yeah, we'll do that. I'll come off this call and I'll be like, God, I should have said him. Oh, I should have said him. I've been thinking about this all day. But yeah.
We'll have to do a whole other podcast episode, a bonus one about all the names that Becca forgot to put in her Burnley side. I think, though, if you asked any football fan to name their best 11, they would be in the very same boat. They would struggle. There's always going to be some names that you haven't put in there.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
Right, so now I'm going to ask you a very difficult question. Well, it might not be difficult for you, but we've mentioned how it's not been the best of starts for Burnley in the league this season, but where do you think they're actually going to finish? A definitive answer.
I I'd probably go 14th, 15th. I'm going to go 14th. We'll be optimistic.
If you were being pessimistic, where do you think they would finish?
17th.
So you think they're going to avoid relegation?
I do,
at all costs?
I do.
That's good then. So now fans are slowly being allowed back into stadiums. What would you recommend to an away fan in terms of places to eat, things to do, places to drink if they're heading to Turf Moor sometime in the future?
Well, no trip to Turf Moor is complete without a Benny and Ott. Do you know what one of them is?
I've heard Jordan North talk about this on his podcast before, but I'm not really sure what it is.
Oh, it's a taste sensation, and it's a Burnley thing. So you have to go to the Miners Club and get a Benny and Ott. Actually, you can get them on the ground. But I'd always say no trip. You can't come to Burnley without going to the Royal Dash. And then Burnley Cricket Club. That's always good for away fans. It's really nice. There's often a cricket match on as well, so you could possibly watch the cricket before going on the football. But yeah, that's always good for like neutral fans. Places to eat. Well, there's always Spoons, but you know, if you want a bit more upmarket than Spoons, there's little Italian called Palazzo in town. That's a little independent place. We've got a lot of independent places in Burnley. There's a place called Hardaway, which does good pre-match scran. A place called Continentals as well, which is a must. Yeah, they're all on the way to the ground. Yeah, you'll meet loads of friendly people in Burnley. Everyone will talk to you. But if you're an away fan coming, I definitely recommend the cricket club for family friendly atmosphere and just cheap beer with cheap shots. And after the game, it's even cheaper. So what's not to love?
Well, thank you so much, Becca, for joining us on the podcast today. Good luck for the rest of the season. I truly hope that Burnley do not get relegated.
Oh, I think you're alone there, James. But I think a lot of football fans would like to see Burnley go down. But unfortunately for them, I do think we're going to be sticking around for a little while longer yet, hopefully.
Thanks again to Becca for talking to us, and of course thank you for listening. If you'd like to help me on my quest to speak to at least one fan from each of the clubs in the 92 and talk all about your club, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at the 92 podcast or email the 92podcast@gmail.com. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the 92 podcast wherever it is that you found this episode. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it would really help us if you left us a rating and a review. Next time I'll be ticking off another club in the 92. See you then.